Hello again, Starseeds. We're going to do another podcast episode about universal beings, and so you can help decipher if you are part of that group. Today, we're doing the universal beings from Andromeda Galaxy as well as Andromeda Star System. So, two totally different places, two totally sets of beings, but they do intermingle and have had a lot of other universal beings come and as if refugees after the Draconian Wars, which were the Lyrans came there and lived there a lot. So I have a ton of Andromeda Galaxy DNA in me, as well as Lyra and Vega and Syrian and Venusian and a whole slew of other things. But one of the main ones is Andromeda Galaxy for me. So, um, just to get into a little bit of the history science part of this galaxy, which is also my background all the time. Um, Andromeda Galaxy is also known as Messier 31, or you can just call it M31. Um, it's a spiral galaxy 2.5 million light years away from our own Earth. It's the nearest major galaxy to the Milky Way. Um, and the galaxy's name stems from an area of the Earth's sky which it appears within the constellation of Andromeda. So, despite the name, the galaxy and the constellation are actually two different completely things and are in different locations. So, Andromeda and the Milky Way, the size of Andromeda is pretty much within the same size as the Milky Way. Um, they call it a trillion solar masses. And sorry, I'm not an astrophysicist, so I cannot exactly tell you what that means. I just know it's big. Um, so the size of either galaxy is difficult to estimate for people, um, but it's long been thought that Andromeda is a bit more massive than the Milky Way. And Andromeda Galaxy has a diameter of around 200,000 light years, making it like the largest member of local galaxies around us in terms of extension, in terms of mass. The number of stars that are in Andromeda Galaxy is estimated at like over a trillion, tons of stars, twice the number that we have in the Milky Way. Could you imagine sitting under the night sky in Andromeda Galaxy? I've done it. I astro project there a lot to get healing. So it is something to see. That's all I can say. I wish we could see all of those stars in our own solar system, our own galaxy. So there's always that theory that scientists are talking about and people that work within the universe, the universal records, the Akashic records, have interactions with universal beings like I do. They know that these two galaxies are expected to collide. And scientists have it like billions of years from now that this is going to happen. So it'll just be one gigantic, huge galaxy. Um, So Andromeda Galaxy is the brightest of all of the Messier objects out there. making it visible to the naked eye. You could see it with the naked eye, even on like with the moon shining bright and full. If you live in a really big city, obviously not, but if you get rid of some of the light pollution, you can see Andromeda Galaxy with your naked eye. So if you have a very high powered telescope, I would suggest checking it out because it is something to see. It is gorgeous. Um, According to my work, just going through the Akashic records, um, the Milky Way galaxy was actually birthed from Andromeda Galaxy. And so they're pretty much twins, and they have a duality of source. And so for that reason, the Andromeda Galaxy is considered the mother galaxy. And when I often astral project there, and I listen to the sounds of Andromeda Galaxy on headphones, like recordings from NASA and things. When I meditate, when I need to get cleared and healed from something, we always have our little friends coming to say hi to us on the podcast. Say hi, Kinsey, and then lay down. Um, so it is always very comforting, and I always get the message like, I have been your mother through many, many lifetimes, many incarnations, and I feel that very, very much. So this is also a portal system. And in this incarnation of my energy, in this life, in this body, in this place, I am the link of that portal between Andromeda Galaxy and the Milky Way. So through this portal, many etheric, non physical beings, like just in energy form, um, arrived in the Milky Way galaxy to begin a new cosmic experiment within a different physical reality that we have here that does not exist in Andromeda. So I very rarely, when I do get Akashic records, get people that have a very strong tie or have lived many lives in Andromeda Galaxy. I do get a lot more Andromeda Starseeds, like from the constellation, but not so much from the galaxy. Um, Individuals that have these really strong DNA ties to Andromeda Galaxy, they have a really difficult time accumulating to this denser frequency on planet Earth, which I definitely do. This is a very harsh environment for me to live in, and I struggle with it a lot. Um, but they're here due to like dedication and the ascension of Earth into the fifth dimension. So right now the Earth is in third dimension. The Earth has a lot of growing up to do. People have a lot of growing up to do. We're going through that ascension process now. You can see by all of the events taking place all around the world and what humans are doing to the world. All the fires that are burning in California, those are intentionally set. All this crazy fog and weird crap that is happening in Florida and different places, that's being intentionally done by humans. Now parts of New York are on fire. There's places in all over the world that these things are happening to. Tsunamis, those are all being done by man. So there is definitely a a battle that some humans with the technology that we've had for a very long time. Like, and by the way, if you see UAPs in the sky or in the water, you need to use, I call them their spidey senses, but you need to sense them out. Is this from the universe or is this man made? Because man has had this technology for a very long time. And that is why all of the sudden, when the Pentagon has been coming out with releasing these videos of the Tic Tac video and all of these things that you guys know about, now all of a sudden there's all kinds of videos popping up everywhere, all over the place, of people capturing UAPs or submersibles, and that's because they're man made. So you need to scope them out, feel them out, and see, is this a universal being craft or is this man made? Because man is, it's another way for man to create another war, is what they're doing. And they're trying to instill fear in people. And I just want you to understand that yes, there is a negative form of universal beings out there that has caused many wars throughout the universe and displaced other universal beings. I've talked about them in another podcast, the Draconians. They are the reason for all the chaos and just this crazy, uninformed, uneducated, suppressed way that humans have been living on this earth as well. So, other than that, you have nothing to fear from the universal beings. They have been here the entire time. You can go back to ancient stories from all the native peoples around the world. They have all got it documented. They've all had interactions with these beings. If they wanted to wipe us off of this planet and destroy us, they could have done it a long time ago. So there is nothing to fear there. You have more to fear from humans than you do universal beings. So, just to, in case you guys have never seen Andromeda and the Milky Way kind of lined up, we'll share a picture. So, you can see it in the night sky with your naked eye. It looks tiny, tiny, but this is more of a simulation at the top of when they're going to start to merge. So, that's definitely going to happen. But you should definitely get out and observe Andromeda Galaxy. It is gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. And so the Andromeda star system, um, it's the 19th biggest star constellation in the sky. Um, it's located in the northern part of the sky, and I am not an astronomer, so I'm not going to like try to tell you how to find it, but I will show you what it looks like so that you can find it. Um, I did jot down that it's at the latitudes between 90 degrees and negative plus 90 degrees and negative 40 degrees. So it's the most prominent in the autumn evenings that you can see Andromeda star constellation. Um, in the northern hemisphere, it's easier to see along with other constellations that are around it. Um, it was named after a mythical princess called Andromeda, who was the wife of a Greek hero, Perseus. Sorry, I'm almost going to say that wrong. And sometimes referred to as the Chained Maiden because of the way the constellation looks. And so in the story, it was the goddess Athena who commemorated the princess Andromeda by placing her image along with the stars next to the constellations representing her husband Perseus and her mother Cassiopeia, which is another constellation. So the neighboring constellations to this are Cassiopeia, Lacerta, and Pasagus, Perseus, Pisces, and Aries. So if you are into astronomy and you know how to find your star constellations, very easy to find. Um, so it's the brightest star constellation in the Alpha So we currently see the Sirius star constellation. One of the brightest stars in Sirius is the brightest star that we can see. So you just have to look for it. Um, and there's also a meteor shower that takes place in like mid-November around this around Andromeda, um, and it appears to originate from the actual star constellation. So once again, people with telescopes, get your telescopes out. There's so many cool things to see out in the sky and watch. Um, the future of Andromeda and Milky Way galaxies are definitely interlinked and will become one at some point. I don't know. I'm not going to try to debate science and NASA and whoever is saying when this is going to happen. But since I am the link to the portal between the two, I know that I have already linked them. So within my energy field up here, everything goes counterclockwise because that's the way Andromeda spins, and everything lower goes clockwise because that's the way the Milky Way spins. And so I'm basically linking power spots on the Earth, kind of building trees of life within these two different spinnings that are going on within my energy. So I'm relinking the power spots on Earth, the ley lines on Earth, and opening portals on Earth that have been closed and linking them to the chakras of the Earth. So I've linked Andromeda Galaxy to Mount Shasta, which is the root chakra of the earth. I've linked it to the throat chakra of the earth, which is Egypt. And I'm still working on the others, but I'm also linking it to ancient sites and calling in all of the native peoples that are either currently living or are ancient and have passed on to come forward and protect these lands and bring them back to the state that they should be in and be protected. So that is part of my mission on this earth. And if you've never seen just a picture of the constellation of Andromeda, there she is. They show her shackled, just like I say. And it's not hard to spot, especially certain times of year. And Andromedans are predominantly a humanoid race from the star system Zintete, and so they look very human. The Andromeda constellation, there's at least 28 different races of beings that are there. Some are humanoids, some are not. The life forms in Andromeda include humanoids, plants, animals, insects, um, other etheric and plasma based things, and conscious life forms. So there's a lot of different kinds of life forms that live in Andromeda Galaxy. And I know from doing my own Akashic Records reading and digging through my own life and knowing the story, my story, um, I there's been several times that I should not have made it and been alive, and I I barely made it alive as a baby. And one, my mom's placenta did not really work and it wasn't giving me nourishment. But what I needed was plasma, not like plasma from your blood, like we're thinking on Earth, like plasma from the universe. I needed that, and I wasn't getting it. So I was born at 3 pounds, was in an incubator for a very long time, had trouble digesting human food, which I still do, and I have to find a specific diet that works for me. So I have all of those problems just from the descent that I have. And I'll get into that story a little bit later, a little bit more detail. Um, so, a lot of different races, a lot of different plants. The plants are very vibrant. Like the sky is magnificently colorful. The plants have many different colors. They're not just green like they are on Earth. And the creatures, the animals look completely different. Aquatic creatures, land creatures, very, very beautiful, very serene, um, and very peaceful. So within the different races that live in Andromeda, um, there's some like 7 to like 9 foot tall winged humanoids that exist in a higher dimension, and they have their origin in the avian races that came from like Lyra Vega when Lyra's had to flee because of the Draconian Wars. A lot of them went to Andromeda Galaxy. Um, and Andromedans are about like 40,000 to 50,000 years ahead of us as far as technology and spirituality and just advancement in their race. So they're much more civilized and none of this chaos that goes on Earth happens in Andromeda. Um, Andromeda humanoids often have a light blue skin. Um, they're definitely telepathic. I can communicate telepathically very easily with nature, with animals. People are harder because if they don't understand the practice and they don't learn how to do it, then you're having a one-way conversation. But I can communicate telepathically with people as well. I can tell what every single person is thinking. I can read people and know their whole life story just by looking at them and studying them. So whether the whether the telepathy comes back to me in conversation or not is not really a factor. I can still read you and everything about you. Um, and they usually wear like multicolored, like what they would call like the Galactic Federation kind of uniform. They're very much involved in that, and they consist of two basic um, Earth human types when you see them. It could be like the Caucasian looking, like the Nordic type of universal being, um, to having the pale blue skin or a Mediterranean type look with dark hair, brown eyes, which I have. Um, and then there's also a more Asian looking version of them around as well. And you'll see that they have like a bluish tint to their skin. So all of the eyes of Andromedans are like definitely larger than what you would see on a typical human. Um, their heads are normally larger as well, and their ears are a little bit lower than on a human, and a little bit smaller than a human's ears would be. The hands and feet are like appear really delicate in appearance with like longer fingers and a bit longer toes, longer thin arms, which I definitely have really like tiny thin arms, thin wrists, thin like everything. So you might have all of these traits or some of these traits. You don't have to have them all if you have this DNA in you and you're in a bio body on Earth right now. Um, so female Andromedans in the galaxy are like taller than what we would expect a human person female to be, like 7, 8 feet tall. Um, the males are like 7 to 10 feet tall, maybe go up to 12, like fairly tall people. Um, Andromedans, regardless of their sex, they can weigh up to 450 to 600 pounds. And that's not because it's like this way, like you're obese. It's because of such their large stature. So they're actually long and slender. But they're just really tall and like dense in their body mass. So that's what gives them their weight. And the women of Andromeda Galaxy are known for being the most beautiful in the galaxy. They're known for like alluring energies and shapely figures. They have otherworldly look about them. It's like unparalleled, even like beyond the beauty of like the Palladians and the Venusians and some of these other um, universal beings that are very on like the what I call the sacred feminine path. Um, because Andromeda had a very advanced and evolved civilization, like long time. And Andromedan women enjoyed the honor and respect among men in their civilization. It was an equality. So many of them held leadership and in their society and were allowed a lot of freedom. So freedom is everything to someone that descends from Andromeda Galaxy, especially women. If you're living on this earth from Andromeda Galaxy, you do not like the patriarchy. You do not like the way men treat women. You do not like the way that women have been treated on this earth at all. You have no tolerance for it, and you just don't put up with it. Like, you would literally rather compromise your life than give away your free will. And I definitely feel that. Like, if I was ever captured or imprisoned or some horrible thing happened to me on earth, which it's not because I will that all away and push it away from me, like no violence is coming to me. Um, I would definitely just rather die than give up my free will. So, yeah. And Andromedans are known for being in the Galactic Federation, for their mastery of all forms of like scientific things, technological endeavors, and most Andromedans and even Andromeda starseeds from the constellation tend to be quite adept at technology, but not all of them. So like I can work technology. Can I build technology and program computers and crap like that? No. Like I am not good at math. But many of them work in tech fields, but they're also like doctors, scientists, and the ones that are not in those particular kinds of fields are very, very gifted healers and very creative, very artsy, very musical, those kinds of gifts. So when I do healing sessions with people, I can read their body down to a cellular level and tell them everything that's going on in their body and why and how to fix it. And it has nothing to do with modern medicine. It is a lot of times ascension symptoms, but it's also um, sicknesses and symptoms that you get just from your universal DNA. Like I have inflammatory responses when I have a lot of stress going on in my life. So I've done another podcast about starseed ascension symptoms and sicknesses that you can get. So you guys can look that up and watch that. There's a ton of illnesses that you get just from your universal DNA and your energy being put in this body on this earth, and it's trying to cope with all the crap of this earth and not having clean air and clean water and just basically being a polluted, nasty freaking mess. Like it messes with you very badly. And the universal consciousness of this anger and war and dominance. And then you've got the other side of us that are doing the ascension process, and we're not on that. We have our own consciousness group of we're trying to raise the vibrations and get rid of all of that. So your body struggles with that, and you need to know how to fix those things. So when I do healing work on people, I can read every single thing in their body. I can read every single thing that's going on in their mind and help them in those ways. So they we usually live understated lives, like we're not flashy and look at all the crap that I can buy and the mansions I can build and the stupid freaking $1,000 purses I can buy. And we're not about that. We're not about greed at all. Like, yes, we want to have money, but we want it to help the earth and not show off everything that we can buy. Um, so the frequency in Andromeda is much higher than it is here in our solar system. So this affects the ease of incarnation and the amount of soul energy that can be maintained in the human form. So I often have to call on the universal beings, all of them that I've been a part of: Octurians, Venusians, Lyrans, Syrians, Octurians, to and healers like Thoth and Merlin and Jesus, ascended masters. I call on all of them to heal my body and upgrade my DNA because my energy is constantly growing and getting bigger and stronger. And I need this biotech body that I'm shoved into right now to adjust to it. Otherwise, I start to have symptoms of illness and depression and anxiety and inflammatory responses and different things like that. So I'm constantly having them come and upgrade my DNA so that my body keeps up with these shifts that I am making. So basically, what I am doing is transforming myself more and more into that universal being than a human. And so I'm constantly asking for adjustments to come, and those adjustments do come, and that help does come. And I feel them working on me. I've been transported into the portal of Sirius C many times so that they can work on me. Mantis people have come to work on me. So you have to ask for that help and those upgrades in your body so that this biotech body can keep up with everything that's going on with your ascension and what's going on with you. Um, I'll just show this picture because we're going to get back into the Lyrans for a second. So, the lion people, the Lyrans and the Vega, the avian part, they spent a lot of time in Andromeda after the Draconian Wars. They became refugees, needed a place to go, and so regarding the history of this, the Andromeda humanoids are descendants of the Lyrans, and that can be tracked clear down to ancient Babylon, Samaria, Göbekli Tepe. There's lions and bird people depicted in ancient Mesoamerica, Native Americans, all of these things. So it goes clear down to Earth and then within the Anunnaki story as well. So the humanoids are descendants of the Lyrans who fled to Andromeda from the Lyra constellation after the wars began, which the Draconians started the wars. Um, and they joined all the other races and beings that already lived there. So Andromedans are either indigenous to that system or they have come from other places and migrated there. Um, the Lyran and Andromeda star history, it keeps things in like a simple matter. So at like there was intermingling with Andromeda's star seeds and different things. So there wasn't like DNA manipulation going on at the time. It was just like we're a big group of universal beings and we love who we love, and that's kind of how it went. Um, but after the Lyran Draconian Wars, quite a few Lyran humans escaped the wars and wandered in the galaxy for quite a while. And they were hunted, they were pursued by these Draconians, like they just wouldn't let it go. Um, and, their planets were destroyed. So some of them ended up living and hiding in like asteroids and moons and different places like that, just trying to avoid and evade these draconian beings. Um, so they were constantly on the move all the time, and they were looking for a safe place to be. So several of the Lyran starships sought refuge in other constellations, such as Cygnus and Cassiopeia, and that created a like way stations for these poor refugees of Lyrans to like rest and replenish themselves and get provisions. And while they were there hiding in Lake Cassiopeia, there were the cat beings in the Cassiopeian system that assisted them and recommended that they make their home and settlements in Andromeda constellation. So it's thought that the Cassiopeian system interacted with them like 2 million some years ago is when this happened. And you can look up what the Cassiopeian star system looks like if you would like to. Um, so the Cassiopeian cat people recommended Andromeda because they knew that the Lyran refugees were weary of traveling and hiding and running, and Andromeda is relatively close to the Cassiopeian star system. So the Lyrans ended up settling there in the two solar systems and Andromeda constellation. And yeah, there's a lot of planets and a lot of stars that in, are involved in that. And you can look them up, and that is the places that they have created habitats for themselves. Um, so throughout several generations, new Andromedan humanoid races evolved physically to adapt to the environmental conditions that they were then placed in because it was completely different from Lyra, where they came from. So their bodies had to adapt and adjust. So due to like a lack of gravity, their bodies became much more elongated and their skin turned from white to blue. And unlike the Syrians who had developed blue skin due to genetic mixing of Lyran and Vegan refugees, the Andromeda people developed their blue skin because of a very different environment that they were in. And so it caused a pigmentation change. And they were also ingesting a lot of like copper based minerals for sustenance. So changed their appearance. So that's where you get, and you can even see the blue tint of some of the people of Andromedans that live on Earth in these human bodies. You can see the blue tint in their skin. Um, so it was part of the food that they ate, and and they had a double sun exposure as well, so a lot more sun. So their skin adapted to that. And the vibration and frequency on Andromeda is also very different than it was on Lyra. So there were additional color spectrums that affected these humanoids that lived there. Because your body is always affected by frequency. So Andromeda, and we'll get down to Andromedan's involvement in Earth. So millions of years ago, Andromedans visited Earth during a time when the Syrians had established themselves in colonies on the planet. They welcomed the Andromedans who requested setting up a few outposts here around the globe and in inner Earth. And these outposts were like research facilities. They were not interested in like hybridizing or manipulating DNA of Earth human species, but mainly they wanted to study the flora and fauna that were on the planet. And so you can call them the ultimate um, ecosystemers, the Andromedans. They're very good at that. So some of the Andromeda genetic experiments with plants were used to aid Syrians in creating a more durable Syrian body so that they could survive better and aid in their genetic manipulation of Earth human genome projects, which also the Anunnaki were involved in as well, but a little later down the line. So the Andromedan humanoid race revered the universal law of free will, which I was talking about. Freedom is everything to an Andromedan. We would rather die than not have freedom. And they did not want to interfere with Earth's human evolution. They they just maintained a mostly like hands off. We're not getting involved in that. Um, but from present time human perspective, we merely sustained a small contribution from the Andromedans towards our mental abilities and not so much our physical bodies. So they're very much a part of raising our vibrations, bringing us up through dimensions, helping us go through space and time, astral projecting, all of those kinds of gifts instead of actually manipulating our DNA. They're here to wake us up. Um, and Andromedan and humanoids revered like they just, yeah, free will is like the basic thing that is like the main focus, like free will. So unlike the Syrians and Palladians, genetics, Andromedan genetics are not as prevalent in Earth humans. So that's why when I read Akashic records, I don't get many Andromeda galaxy people. I will get a lot of other races that might have lived there for a while, but to actually be Andromedan, I don't get that very much. Um, and a lot of them had Andromedans have like are winged creatures, and so I already showed you that picture of the avian. They're depicted all over the world. The bird people, that also goes down the line to the Anunnaki as well. Um, and it could be like where people came up with angels. Not for sure on that, but they they have been somewhat involved in Earth since the first life formed on Earth and with humans at various stages in our development to make sure that we ascend. And so, definitely, like those images that you see in Samaria and Babylon of the winged creatures, which we call the Anunnaki, are part of this. So, you can look up those images anytime. They're all over the place. And it said that these beings have been invented by the guardian angels of Earth to participate in the progression and what they come to our solar system on the wings of archangels, who are the gatekeepers of Earth. So they're definitely here in a protective manner and want you to do the best that you can, have all of the things that you need in this world, and ascend and keep going up dimensions and not be stuck in this angry 3D place that we're living in. So I was an early like volunteer to come to Earth. I've had several incarnations on Earth. All of them have been absolutely horrific. Um, I've said it many times, like I had to descend in order to live here, and now I'm going through the ascension process again. So it's, and those people are definitely on the radar of the Galactic Council. And I, in this lifetime, I, my, in my soul contract, I actually ripped space and time to come here, to be here for this moment in this time to help people and help the earth because I had a huge hand in creating a lot of what's on this earth, and as well as a lot of other beings did. And I also, I'm like I said, I'm the link between Andromeda galaxy and the Milky Way galaxy. I'm the link between that portal. So I'm linking the portal back to places on Earth and places within the Milky Way. And I came here to like take down the negativity and control and power systems and war and anger and violence. And like in the past, like I said, Andromedans were kind of hands off and didn't want to interfere with humans' free will. But I was also on, like, I know this earth is at the tipping point. We are out of time. We have done too much destruction to this earth, and we are doing mass destruction of this earth right now. And when you hear messages from like the Galactic Federation saying your time is up, like they're done with this crap. So people need to start preparing themselves for huge shifts in life on earth, and your lifestyle and the way things work, and the greed system and the war system and all of this. You need to start preparing yourself for it because it's happening. It's happening right now. Um, I'm also responsible for opening new pathways and portals on power spots around the earth. So I'm working on that. And I was also responsible because I was an original member of the Anunnaki. I am Kai, and I was the knowledge was I've already done my podcast on this story on the Anunnaki, but the knowledge was stolen from Inky by Inanna, and she shared it with her human subjects and made like a kingdom of her own, and they loved her and adored her and whatever. And she had to go into the underworld for punishment, and she had to battle and kill a lot of her children, a lot of negative entities, what people would call demons, the draconians. She was down there battling for a very long time and killing her own children. So, this is when the Atlantean system was up and running and the entire earth was connected. And I was a part of cutting off that knowledge from the humans because they were misusing it. And then the world went dark. So I've had to come to terms with that action that I took. Like they're misusing it, we're going to take it, and I cut off the knowledge. And then the world became a very dark place. Then the Roman Catholic Church took over, tons of human slaughter over gold, over greed, war, religion, diseases. Like it was just a very, very, very dark time. So when you get your Akashic records read, just understand that you don't always do good things or the right things. And I've even had people that I've read their Akashic records that have actually been draconian, but something shifted in them and their consciousness, their energy did not want to be a part of this warring type party anymore. And so they fought their way out of that. So there's always things that you're going to encounter when you get your Akashic records read that you need to deal with on a personal level that you've done because you've lived many, many, many lives and many, many incarnations, and you don't always make the right decisions. So I feel very bad for the darkness that was plunged onto this planet and the things that have happened to this planet. And all the while, the universal beings were still there telling people that you can have free renewable energy, you can have this technology, but those people that had that information, like Nikola Tesla and members of our secret government programs and all of that, they took it to use it to weaponize. But Nikola Tesla wanted to give us free renewable energy. And what did the government and the system do to him? Basically ruined his life because they wanted the greed. So I feel the weight of that decision that I made a lot. So I often astral project to Andromeda Galaxy just to heal. I have kind of like a pod there, or I just sit within the swirling galaxy and I listen to the sounds of the galaxy. Um, when I'm there, my eyes turn like bigger and they're glowing, and I can see everything around me in Andromeda Galaxy. Um, so I literally just sit there and just rotate within the galaxy, and it rotates counterclockwise. Pretty much everything in my life rotates counterclockwise. When I use my pendulum to clear myself, it rotates counterclockwise. I can't put a garden hose on to save my life. I always want to turn it the wrong freaking way. Um, so since I'm the link between the Milky Way and Andromeda, I've had to like ask for adjustments on my body that I can rotate both ways. I'm going counterclockwise up here and I'm going clockwise down here to plant trees of life and spread vibrance and healing in all of the places of the earth that I go. So I've had to ask for those adjustments. And yeah, so counterclockwise is definitely a more comfortable direction for me to be rolling with. Um, there's just a couple more images if you want to look at them of what some Andromedans, like some artists, have come up with. The ones that I don't have a graphic designer on my team or anything, um, but these are the best representations that I can find. And then the blue person that I showed you. So you always see a lot of energy field around Andromedans. If you can see auras, you'll see a lot of colors around an Andromedan. Um, so when I go to Andromeda, I'm pretty much exiting this body and astro projecting and just going there with my energy to get healed and listening to the actual sounds that galaxy makes. And I call on them, I speak to them. I've lived a lot of lives there. I'm very comfortable there. And I just keep working on linking all of the things back that I'm supposed to be linking. So it's not just the chakras of the earth, it's the chakras of the planets, the chakras of that are on planet Earth, the portals, the ancient sites, all of those things that were all connected are being linked back through the portal of Andromeda. So that is my mission on this earth, and that is what I am doing. And if you would like to get your Akashic records read and find out what your mission is on life, I do that for many, many people. I have a ton of clients that I do Akashic records readings for. I also have a 5-step program on healing you, and it starts with reading your Akashic records so that I know your story. And then we go through quantum meditations where I raise you through different dimensions. There's Reiki to clear out and read your body down to a cellular level and what's going on with you. And there's a lot involved in it, but after you go through the 5 steps, if you need extra time and extra healing sessions, that's all involved in the cost of it. So, and I can remote view, so I can do it remotely, or I could do it actually physically with you there. As far as the Akashic Records part goes, anybody that gets their Akashic Records read by me, I have your entire record done before I ever see you, meet you, speak to you. Well, I'll speak to you briefly because you're making the appointment, but all I ask you for is your full name and date of birth. And I ask for people's picture of their face, just their face. I don't want to see anything in the background. I don't want to see any of your family members, no sunglasses, no nothing. And I have your complete reading done before it's even time to get your reading. And then I set the appointment to give you your reading. And then we go from there. And then we start the healing process. So, um, my DNA traits from being Andromeda galaxies is a great ability to heal people, to heal nature. Um, I work very well with elementals. I open and close portals. I can hear all of nature speak to me, animals, trees, grass, whatever it is, any kind of nature. I can put my hand on a rock and feel everything that's ever gone on in that area within that rock. Crystals obviously sing to me. Um, so those are my special gifts that I've carried down from Andromeda Galaxy. And just remember that this earth is very hard for universal beings to live on. And the ones that have chosen to be here, all of the other universal beings kind of like are like salute to you, like you go, because we don't want to do it, that place sucks. And so they have great respect for people that are here in this incarnation in these human bodies, trying to help the earth and trying to help humans get out of this negative space and the destruction of this planet. So just stay connected to yourself. Remember to keep asking for help and upgrades to your DNA and your body, this biotech body that you're in, so that it keeps adjusting as your energy keeps growing, as you keep growing into more power, as you keep rising through dimensions. That is very important. Pay attention to the medical things that are going on with you. It's not, I'm not going to tell anybody not to go to a doctor, but a lot of these things cannot be solved by a doctor. So, if you would like to hear more about my 5 step healing program, there is a podcast on this channel about that. You can look that up. Um, but everybody out there, start your own collective consciousness of high vibrations, love, prosperity for everybody. There is enough abundance in the universe for everyone. No one should be starving. No one should be struggling. Do not fall for these fear tactics that governments are trying to lay down all the time. Get your own mind, your own thinking, your own research, and don't be part of the system. That's the best advice that I can give you. So, right now, my course on how to read the Akashic Records, if you would like to learn how to do that, it's half off. So, it's really like 40 some dollars. I can't remember exactly. I have a coupon for it right now. It's a very in depth class. I talk about the universal beings, what it feels like to be around them, how to contact them, the things that you will see, the things that you will interact with, um, how to help people with the negative things that come up that they have done in past lives, the sicknesses that you will go through, ascension symptoms. I go through it all. It's a very in-depth class instead of just teaching you how to get into the Akashic records and get information. You need to understand that information so that you can help yourself and help your client. So it's very in depth. It's worth taking. Guys, check it out. And as always, please like and subscribe to this channel. It is fairly new, but the more people that we have subscribe, the better. Obviously, I'm putting out new content all the time about universal beings, about living on this earth, the problems that we're going to encounter. Um, I will get into things that our government has done to people and is still doing to people, like all kinds of different topics. So please like and subscribe, share with your friends, spread the word, and just keep loving your heart and picture yourself with abundance. Put yourself in that abundance place. That is the best thing that you can do for yourself. So, love and peace for today. And I will see you guys next podcast.